Guys want to fix our problems because
we think we're the man.
They think that we are so sensitive and we're not logical. They don't know how to talk about emotions like how women like to talk about.
He can do anything.
If there's a problem, he's going to solve it.
But that's not always true.
It's true. Like, it's so true.
We have so many gender differences, but one of the most predictable and that gets a lot of airplay is just how we approach problems.
Right.
How we approach problems. Women, you know this. You bring a problem home to your man. What does he want to do with your problem? Solve it. Yeah, he wants to fix your problem. And guys, why do we do that? It's almost a compulsive thing. We can't help ourselves. Why do we want to fix her problem so much?
We want peace.
We want peace. All right?
An honest answer.
Yes.
I love it.
I'll tell you what, and I want women to understand this, and if you can get this clear right at the beginning of your relationship, it can really help you, because we're giving you the very best we know how to give. You see, when a guy has a problem, he's looking for a solution. That's what he wants. And so when you bring a problem to him, he wants to solve that problem for you because that's what he wants when he has a problem. In fact, the only reason guys talk about problems is in the hope of finding a solution.
When something's going on in my life and I am expressing it to Ryan, Ryan will right away want to get to how are we going to solve this. I just want him to sit there and be like, oh, that's so hard, Leslie, and just tells me.
Sometimes you just need to vent about a problem, and that solves it for you.
So
and then
sad,
after we
Leslie.
give it some time.
I don't want you to even talk back. I just want you to listen to my story and just say, like, that sucks.
Sometimes you just need to say that something sucks, and you don't need to solve it right away.
Solutions are a good thing, aren't they?
How can we solve it? Is that
That's
better?
like Kermit the Frog.
What?
If it can be fixed, it should be fixed.
What if it can't be fixed?
It usually can.
Well, I don't know.
But it's not what we necessarily offer you if you bring a problem to us.
If I bring a problem home to Leslie, does she try to fix my problem? She wants to explore my problem. She wants to look at the many facets of my problem. She wants to talk about how my problem is kind of like a problem she once had, only it was different. Right? In fact, her girlfriend had that problem once, and that was kind of interesting. And we take a tour through Problemville together, okay? Men and women are hardwired so uniquely for solving problems, right?
Yeah, and we want to validate everything you're feeling when you have a problem.
I remember I brought home a problem not too long ago. Leslie and I are really focused on this thing that we call marriage mentoring, which, is a wonderful thing if you can find a more experienced couple to mentor you. And we have a lot of resources on that. And because of that, at the university one day, I was in the student life committee meeting, and we were talking about retention issues with freshmen and so forth. And I thought, hey, what if we kind of began a mentoring program for seniors to mentor incoming freshmen? And I just thought, that's a great idea, but I wasn't going to just blurt it out in the meeting. I thought, I'm going to go home, do some research on that, put a little slide deck together, bring it back to the committee, a few weeks later. And so I did just that. And the day came, and I gave my little presentation, and it went nowhere. Nobody liked the idea. I came home, and Leslie was so eager to hear, hey, how'd they like it? What'd they think of the idea? I said, well, they didn't like it at all. She said, why not? I said, I don't know. They just didn't like it. She said, yeah, but why? I said, I don't know. They just didn't like it. She said, well, what about Mike? Wasn't he supportive? I said, no, he was like a ghost in the meeting, didn't say a word. She said, why? I said, I don't know, right? And then she said, I can't imagine how you must feel. Yeah. And then she said, you must feel devastated. Yeah, I guess I do. I didn't know my problem was so big till we started talking about it, right? Men and women, we approach problems differently.
Yeah, because I thought that would be validating. So I was really giving you a gift from my perspective to let you know that,
because that's what a woman
huge.
likes with a problem, whereas men like to have the problem diminished, like that's no big deal.
Which have you ever experienced that, women? Because I don't relate to that. I don't want my problem minimized. That doesn't feel good to me. And so when he'll say something, if he doesn't try to solve it, I'll be like, oh, that's no big deal. You shouldn't even worry about that. I'm like, yes, I should. This is a big deal. I don't want to hear that. But I think it's only fair I should share from my perspective what it feels like.
I think I know where you're headed.
Do
Go
you?
ahead, yeah.
There was a day midweek, right, offered to give him a ride to the airport. It was really a busy season. And so I just saw my little window of opportunity. If I promised to take him to the airport, we could kind of have a date that morning. It would just be a nice way to send him out of town, feeling really connected. And the kids would be at school. It was perfect. So I said, don't get a ride to the airport. I'm going to drive you. And then when that day arrived on the calendar, nothing about it was like I'd imagined. First of all, I had one guy, my little guy Jackson, had a high fever. And so I'd been up all night with him and he was going nowhere. No school, nothing. And secondly, I've been watching it snow. Well, in Seattle, we might get one snow every 2 or 3 years. And when we do, the whole city is chaos. It's immobilized. It's craziness. So already they were, at 5 a.m., they're starting to say 2-hour late start for school. So we have crazy roads, a sick baby, and a late start for school. So everything, nothing I had ever pictured. But I was your only way to the airport. So I remember I got out and got my one little guy to the bus stop so he could get to school. And coming back, I just thought, this is treacherous. I don't even know if we're going to make it to the airport. And so I come back. I've got my little guy with a fever strapped in his car seat, and he's resting comfortably. And I just run up and say, we've got to leave right now if you have any chance of making that flight. So he comes running down and we're taking off for the airport. And I'm like, I plan to gas up the car. I haven't had a chance to stop because I didn't think we'd make the flight, but you need to get gas on the way to the airport. He's like, there's no way. I cannot miss that flight. You're going to be totally fine. He's looking at the gauge. He's like, we're just going to get me there. So he's good driving in the snow, way better than me. We get to the airport, and as we, pull into the terminal, and he's sliding out, I'm kissing him goodbye. He looks at the gauge. He goes, look, you're totally set. 6 miles to empty, it says. You're fine. And he goes running into the airport. So I'm pulling through SeaTac, and before I even get through the United terminal, it being 0 miles empty. And I'm like, I knew I was right. And so
Important point of clarification, you were still driving. It wasn't out of gas. It just said 0
the
miles
car had not
to empty.
stalled, but it read 0 miles to empty.
But that's an important distinction in this story.
So he's in there immediately. I call him on my cell and he doesn't answer, but I know he's probably going through security or whatever. But I still left him a really detailed message describing all of the trauma that will ensue. Now that it does say 0, and I was right, if the car stalls and I have to carry my feverish son in the snow because we are stalled, what that could lead to. And I was very tired and grumpy because I'd been up all night. So it had lots of edge to it, let me promise. And I know it was a gift. Yes.
Thank you.
So, but the funny part was, right outside the airport, not very far, there's a gas station. I pull in, I'm like, okay, you were totally overreacting. You were so tired. And so then I go to pump the gas and realize I was also planning to go to the bank, didn't have any cash. So I'm like, that's fine. I have a credit card. I put it in and it was declined. I was just super stunned. First of all, I never had that happen. And now I really do start to panic because I'm like, he's gone. I have a sick child, no money, no gas, and my credit card's declined, and I really panicked. I called him again, and he answered. And I'm like, you answered. I thought you'd be gone. And he said, oh, the flight's been delayed by an hour and a half. So he's sitting in there, reading a magazine. I'm out at the snowy pump going, what is up? And he said, oh, I bought a new computer this weekend. I said, okay. And he said, I bet they flagged it because it's a really big charge compared to all of our other charges, and they probably think maybe it's foul play. Just turn the card over, and there's a number you can call on back, and I'm sure that once you clear it up, it'll be free and you can use it. So Les says to me, don't forget, it's in the credit card's in my mom's maiden name. You're going to need that when you talk to the gal on the other end of the line, and I'm sure it'll get cleared up. And he can tell my energy is so low at this point. And so he says to me, buck up, Leslie, you can handle this. Yeah.
What?
I cannot tell you how fast I hung up.
Recently, with my business that I have, it's been kind of slow, and so I'll vent to John. I'll be like, oh my gosh, they don't like me, I'm horrible. And John will go, it's okay, you'll be fine, it'll work out. I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you want me to do with that? And he's like, no, you'll be fine. I just know, as if it's nothing, no big deal to me, even though it's my baby almost.
Well, I'll be comparing her to other people that are in the same place, and she's doing much better, but she thinks that
really good.
It's way below her expectations, and so she gets frustrated. She's like, well, empathize with me,
But he's just like, yeah, you'll be fine. No.
And you don't like that?
No.
So in your workbooks, you're going to find, again, some really practical exercises for building that bridge together across that gender gap. The exercise is so practical in this area. It also helps to understand how the two of us are wired uniquely for our needs. It's predictable. We know what men need and what women need that are unique from each other. And let's talk about that.
Well, like one thing we talked about when we were talking about the importance of communication was that key to intimacy, which is activity. And I never understood what a deep need that is for men to share activity and how bonding that is.
When we do a shared activity together, he absolutely opens up. All I have to do is just shut up and he starts talking.
You have to be walking. We can't be sitting. You gotta be walking.
When we go on a hike and we're both just huffing and puffing up the mountain, like we'll stop and just have a moment of just, he's just opening up.
So when we walk, we dive deep into the things that we gotta deal with.
It's always really cool.
I had a chance to learn that lesson in a very painful way, actually. We, after we come through this early marriage season where not early marriage, but early parenting season, I should say, 15 years into our marriage, we'd had this crazy crisis year, medical emergencies. For the very first time ever, we were getting away, just the two of us.
Yeah, so this was after like an intense period of 911 calls, our little guy's on an oxygen tank.
Multiple surgeries, crazy
But we're
stress.
getting this reprieve, and so we're flying from Seattle to Maui for a little break, just 3 days to kind of recharge our batteries.
We land in Hawaii. We have enough time left to just pull on our swimsuits and run out to the pool and capture the last few hours.
Just before the sun goes down.
Yeah, exactly. So we head out to the pool. It's beautiful and warm and wonderful. And you start making a fast track.
A beeline to the slide, because this isn't your normal swimming pool, not anyone that I've seen before. It had current in it, you know what I mean? This was like an incredible playground. And I said, look at this slide. We got to go down the slide. And it's kind of on this mountain thing.
Meanwhile, I'm headed straight for the jacuzzi, right? Because I have had the most stressful year of my life, and all I can picture is getting inside a jacuzzi and just relaxing and melting away and having no responsibility and just sharing that moment with you.
Right.
He's headed to the slide, and I'm like, I got to get used to the water. I'm not even ready for that. And he's like, no, come on over.
I said, let's just do this one thing real quick, and then we'll go to the jacuzzi. And she says, no, I want to go to the jacuzzi right now. I said, just come up and look at it. So she climbs up these stairs, and she's looking down the mountain. And you remember what you said?
Well, I was scared. I said, I don't even think I want to go on that slide.
This looks scary. I said, there are 4-year-olds on this slide.
And so I just said, you know what? You want to do that? You do that. When you're done, come meet me in the jacuzzi. I'll be there waiting. Like, just didn't even cross my mind.
Right. And so I did. I went down the slide by myself.
It took him like 45 minutes to wind around back to me.
Because there's current. It was awesome, right?
But I'm in the jacuzzi. Well, by the time he gets in the jacuzzi, everything in his spirit is deflated, right? Because all he wanted to do for him, reconnecting was, let's go share a fun, awesome thing.
Yeah.
Let's go play. For me, reconnecting was, let's go talk. Let's go sit eye to eye in the jacuzzi. And I didn't get it. So by the time he climbed in, he was already feeling so mad at me that we had this terrible fight.
We had this epic fight in the jacuzzi in paradise.
Right. All the little kids jump out of the jacuzzi and run away. And we're sitting in Hawaii crying, basically.
And learned another lesson, shared activity.
It's huge. It's everything. Like, I wish I understood how different that need is for you.
And another one for men is that we need to remember that women need to be cherished, right? Men need shared activity, but a woman needs to be cherished. This is something most men have no idea what it means to cherish a woman. In fact, there's been studies done. You ask women to list the top 10 things they need from their man. Cherished is almost inevitable. Like 98%, you will be cherished as listed for a woman.
Recently, we've had a lot of home projects, and this is something Jerry is very passionate about.
For John, work is everything to him, and it's like, it is his child. And so he would come home really late when we first got married. He'd come home at like 7 or 8. Then he realized that like that was like so important to me to spend time with my husband. So he now comes home, he just cuts the hours that he could, and now he comes home earlier.
This one day, Jer walked in and immediately went to the car, picked up all of my groceries, brought them upstairs, and started helping me prep dinner. And that meant so much to me that he would know that I'm tired, and despite all of his exciting projects in the backyard, that he would help me start dinner.
It just means so much to me that he would sacrifice like that much time just to be with me. It means a lot.
You ask men to list the top 100 things they need from a woman. You'll be hard-pressed to find a guy that goes, well, I know one thing, she better cherish me, right? It's just not on our minds. But you're getting at it, this idea of treating her in a special way, letting her know that you've been thinking of her. Right. That's what it means to cherish a woman.
Right, and it is the little things. Like for me, just the cup of coffee, whether it is valued by you or not.
Yeah, so I don't drink coffee. Leslie drinks enough for both of us. I've never just had a taste for it. And anyway, it's always been a little bit of a tension point, especially early on in our marriage because of that. And years and years ago, because we travel a fair bit with our speaking engagements and so on, we were passing through O'Hare Airport, and they had just opened up the first Starbucks in O'Hare, okay? And we got off the plane, and Leslie goes, let's go. It's brand new. Let's go check out the Starbucks. I'm like, all right. So we go to the Starbucks, and we're standing in line. And as we're there, I'm looking up at the board, and I see all the items and the prices, and I realize the prices are more in the airport than they are in a normal Starbucks. And I said, this is highway robbery. They're ripping us off. And Leslie went, yeah, she didn't care. And I said, well, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to pay for coffee when they're doing this to us, And she said, oh, come on, it's just a cup of coffee. I said, no, this is not. Remember, I got spiritual. I said, this is not good stewardship. Wanted to see if that might work, And she just was like, no, come on, I'm just going to get a cup. I said, I'm not having anything to do with this. And we had a little tiff, and it wasn't a fight, but a little tiff. And I walked away.
I stayed right in line waiting for my coffee.
And then I went down, I'm looking out the terminal and looking out the window at planes and stuff. And I thought, Parrot, what are you, an idiot? Just go back and be with your wife. It's just a cup of coffee. And I remember that really was a moment that I had an insight on cherishing Leslie. She loves that. She loves that coffee. And so I went back and I apologized to her. And by the way, what do you think we do every time we go through O'Hare Airport these days? Yeah, we get ripped off as soon as we get off that plane. But that's what it means to cherish.
That's right.
Your wife.
It's about what matters to them. It has nothing to do with what you value and your taste. It's what does she value.
And it may not even be rational for you.
How can I show that I know her and her little quirks?
Right. But men need shared activity. Women need to be cherished.
Right. One example of really different needs.
Exactly. But they're both important for bridging that gender gap. Oh, so you guys, on the Symbis assessment, I know many of you are using that, and when you begin to unpack that, you'll find a whole page on bridging the gender gap, and you're going to find each other's needs, the ones that you've listed as a man and as a woman that differ between the two of you, and I think you're really going to love seeing that, unpacking it together.